Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Layer by Layer. Today, we're going to talk about what we've been doing with Filament, what we've been doing with our software, what our plans are for the next videos over the next couple of months, and leave a few things up to you at the end of it all. So let's just dive right into it. So first of all, the Filament. Filament. This has been an ongoing saga with all kinds of twists and turns coming up lately. Really soon, guys, and yet at the same time, we are a mass production 3D printing company. We are not a filament manufacturer. We are doing the filament in order to help kind of push the industry forward and help enable the mass production of it all. But we have to focus where our core stuff is. We have to take care of our clients. We have to take care of the new clients. That is what we do. So the filament is a little bit behind right now from what we were anticipating, just because we have to take care of the other brands that are in the fire. But Filament is going well. Right now we've got it all lined out. We're having a little bit of trouble with spools, the 1 kilogram spools, because it looks like right now the current format for the Filament is packs of 3. Packs of 3 is a very efficient way to ship, more efficient than the packs of 2 that we did in the initial test batch. And yeah, we're getting that all squared away. Also, by the way, our new vacuum forming machine, nightmare problem, actually, for sealing up the plastic on all these things. It is, fantastically difficult to get that thing delivered in one piece and in a functional state. So this is stuff that happens, and this is the issue with manufacturing in general. Everybody underestimates how simple it is to build a thing. And it's very easy to build a thing, to prototype a part on your printer, to build a widget, to tie a fly, to build a chair in your wood shop, whatever it happens to be. All of those things are very simple to do once because you're able to embellish and sand and reform and test and duct tape and glue and so on and so forth, or redo something a couple times. But in order to scale up and do hundreds, thousands, millions, is really, really hard. And that's basically what we're doing here with Filament, is how do we reliably create a good deliverable product for all of you guys on a consistent basis that we know we can consistently deliver upon. Because it's absolutely stupid for us to launch something like this and then say, I don't feel like it anymore. So we got to make sure that it's really not nailed down to where it's not a big old giant pain in the tail for us, but is also of good quality, reliable product for you guys, because that's kind of the main thing is we're harping on it with this is good quality filament, affordable price, high reliability, because right now this filament supply chain is very unreliable and inconsistent. So we want to fix that, and that's a very simple thing to start fixing. But anyway, that's the state of the filament right now. We should have a video coming out fairly soon, in the near future, of the actual making of a spool. Fairly darn soon. So that'll be coming down the pike as well. Down the pipe. But anyway, software, the API. So we have been working for the last several months on a third-party API so that anybody can get access to our facility. If you have a piece of software that you want to connect to us, maybe it's your print farm, your maybe it's a prototyping service, maybe it's a toy maker, maybe it's something else. I don't know what all. But anybody who is making 3D models and wants to connect to a large-scale print farm that can print an item and ship it on demand for them, that is the software that we're building. Full access to our print farm through a very ideally slick piece of software. There are going to be a couple of pre-launch versions of this. We will have a version that is just print on demand, where you upload a file and have it printed to you. This is going to be super boiled down, super simple. We're going for just really clean, slick, quick, easy, get a part that you need for like a prototype or for demo or for like a pre-order in like our production system or our production workflow. That app will be coming pretty darn soon. And then we also have the Shopify integration that will be coming. All of these are going to be in beta for a minute, but the point of the print-on-demand version of the app is to really kind of stress test the API, the third-party API, before we turn it loose for everyone, because we just want to know what can go wrong while it's in our kitchen and not deployed to a bunch of folks. Because if people are going to plug into our software on Shopify or through the API directly through whatever it is you're making, it would be really imprudent and arrogant of us to think that it's all going to work right at launch. So it's in beta right now. We're fleshing out some kinks. We're going to get it launched, flesh out some more kinks with those initial apps that will develop and control, just so that we're able to get stuff out there and get it demoed and then start iterating on it to make sure that it gets progressed to a very good, stable, reliable system that you guys are able to build products and services on top of, so that people don't have to worry about building a print farm for anything that they're doing. They can focus on products, focus on customer support, focus on product design, and create some really awesome stuff without having to worry about the printing and the shipping, which really shouldn't be a concern. So that software will be coming out very soon, and we'll have more updates coming to that very, very soon. There's some bugs in it, because there always is. But we're working through them, and we'll have something very, very soon. The filament manufacturing problem. I should have talked about this a little bit more back with Filament. The notes, we should have planned out the story of these notes a little bit more. But the filament manufacturing problem. With the launch of the filament, we're doing a separate video on this, so I don't want to do too much. But with us starting to sell filament, there's been a number of interactions that we've had with the filament industry, some good, some bad. Some have been great. A lot of folks have been really down to help out and to help that kind of thing, but also not. And it's really indicative of like the state of the industry, because there's gonna be cheerleaders and there's gonna be obstacles. But we'll go into that a little bit more. It's just been really interesting that as we've kind of stuck the snail up in the air, what hammers have come down that have sort of created wrinkles or speed bumps in other parts of the business. But it's fine. They have not harmed us in any way that is unsurvivable. But they've been irritants, but also kind of goading us along, because very clearly this is something that needs done. Because if we ran into this issue, it's good that we get to be the trailblazer and fix this issue first before everybody else has to come along and deal with it. So like I say, it's going to be a separate thing where we kind of talk through the situation, because we think it does bear being talked about. So we're going to go through that with the politics. Politics is the right word within like the filament industry and that kind of stuff. But there's all kinds of that stuff. As we've been doing this, there's been components of the supply chain that we want to talk about more. And it also, within the context of like the type of content we've been doing lately, as far as like products that do really well, or products that are mass produced that have been very popular videos, and client success stories and that kind of thing. We want to actually go the opposite direction and do more stories about our suppliers and why they're good suppliers and that kind of stuff. We were sort of hesitant about doing that type of content because, quite frankly, we've learned from the school of hard knocks, and manufacturing is the school of hard knocks. And to just say, like, we spent 3 years finding good people, good organizations to do stuff for us. Why would we immediately give that get out of jail free card, here's the shortcut card, to anybody else who's a competitor? Like, this is where you get good material for low cost or whatever it happens to be. The answer to that is that, number one, we believe that a rising tide raises all boats. So the expectation is of like, okay, if we promote a supplier, we do want to promote that supplier, and hopefully they can get more sales. And the expectation would be is that they then take that extra business and reconvert it into becoming more efficient, higher quality, whatever it happens to be, scaling up their operations. Because our expectation is that here at Slant 3D, we're going to continue growing very quickly, and there's not even enough manufacturers right now. So if we can push money through promotion to other manufacturers and other partners through this platform that we're kind of building here, we think it's a good thing. So we're going to try to promote more of our suppliers so that hopefully we can help improve their business through this platform that we're building, so that it can help improve our business and we can all kind of grow together here. Because at Slant 3D, we haven't had to build a lot of stuff from scratch. And anybody who's already doing it, we would prefer they just keep doing it and just get better at it in order to help the process scale and the industry scale. Because 3D printing is going to eat huge swaths of traditional manufacturing. It's just very obvious. So we're going to do what we can to help the industry there. Obviously, we're going to keep on keeping stuff internal. Like within the context of like filament manufacturing, the idea that we make filament and have been making filament for several years, it should not scare any of our suppliers. We're just being slightly more public about it than we've been before. It doesn't change our demand with other suppliers because we use a ton of different suppliers right now as it is. And as we continue growing, our own capacity is not going to be able to produce the amount of material that we want. We want professionals out there and partners out there who are able to give us the resources that we need. But the requirements of that is that it's got to be a certain cost, it's got to be a certain quality, and it's got to be a certain lead time and financial standpoint and so on and so forth. Like any sort of business relationship, there's a lot of factors to weigh. But the idea that we'll somehow take business away from any of our suppliers because of that is very unlikely, because we consume so much material. And some suppliers are just really good at a thing that we're not going to get good at. Like they make a really good lime green or something like that. We're never going to make a really good lime green because we got other stuff to do. Those kind of things. So yeah, that's the state of the filament. We just want to make sure that we're keeping a nudge and a goad and a pace setting next to them as well. Because like our internal filament production is also good for our suppliers to be aware of so that they know in the conversations that we have with them of like, you're competing with other filament suppliers, sure, but you're also competing with our internal capacity and our internal will to do other stuff. And Slant 3D, we do a lot of other stuff. So having that there as just another player in the game is useful for us, again, as we scale up the core business of mass production 3D printing. But anyhow, there's that. Filament, the raw material supply chain is something that needs a lot of people, a lot of cooks with restaurants doing stuff there to do it well. Yeah, so there's that. Videos coming out. So I want to do kind of a teaser series here right now. We've got we've started to figure out this thing. The YouTube channel has started to kind of kick off in the last couple of months or so, and we've started to kind of figure out what the voice is and what kind of the core things are, because the channel's kind of been an experiment for the last 6 months or so. But the design videos are obviously ones that you guys are responding to really well, and we think are really great because the main point of this channel is to educate potential clients, quite frankly. We're advertising. But the design videos are very useful for clients in order to optimize a part for mass production. This is not about how to design a good 3D printed part. Quite frankly, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk down to y'all, but we do not care about making a part one time as a hobby. We have zero interest in hobby 3D printing. Because it's not what we do and it's not what we're trying to convey in this channel. Our interest in it is how does 3D printing scale to mass production? And the rules are very different for that. Again, it's really, really easy and it's a completely different dog to make one than it is to make 1 million. And we're interested in making 1 million. So these videos are really about optimization of very small kind of details, at kind of a high level that is hopefully educational and still useful to more folks, but really focused on how to make a mass production piece, and do it with FDM, obviously. But the design videos have been responding very well in that regard. And it's great that they both have the value to the client. They are information that we want to share in a professional context, but they also are useful to you guys because they are good tips for how to make a part strong and why strength in Z doesn't matter and how to eliminate layer lines. All those things are good for the industry. So again, these things that we can throw out there and have 3 or 4 different benefits from that video are videos that we want to do. So the design videos are some of those. The client stories are ones that have been going very well, and we've kind of found our voice on those. So there'll be a lot more of those. We have a pipeline right now of about 6 to 10 of them lined up. to where we'll be going through them. If you guys have other 3D printed products out there that you are aware of, please do share them with us, because we want to highlight other companies in this. This is not about our client list or anything like that. It is about, again, promoting products that can be mass produced with 3D printing. And anybody who is either currently doing that or has the potential to do currently doing that. The rule for the real 3D printed products is that it has to be a real 3D printed product. Etsy stores don't count. Prototypes don't count. Research projects don't count. It has to be a company who has made a bunch of pieces. So them's be the rules for the real 3D printed products ones. So like the Benet Be Friends are a really good one. We have one coming out soon about Active Armor. We want to talk about Zellerfeld and a number of other companies and that kind of thing. We also want to get back into making the news videos, but the problem there is, guys, there's not a lot of 3D printing news out there. And I apologize. We partnered with Fabaloo on this stuff, and we want to, and we need to do more. But yes, we've been busy, but there's not a lot of highly visual 3D printing news. It's like, somebody installed another metal 3D printer. And it's like, well, great. It's good, but it's not really an interesting video that's highly clickable. So we can't really do those kind of things, but we want to do more. So we're really leaning into the visual style of the channel. Also, within the context of the design videos, I want to preview just a couple, because we've got a couple of demo videos coming out around. I don't want to give too much away. But chopping. Yeah, it's going to be a good video. It's going to be a lot of fun because I love the videos that disillusion people, or that's not the word I'm looking for. Not disallow. No. Okay, fine. I'll say re-educate people about common misconceptions. Disavow some misconceptions. No, that's not what it is. Oh, well, fine. This isn't vocabulary. How we're gonna videos that show something that obviously can't do that, doing that. So we're going through and we're kind of designing optimized 3D printed products that do stuff that they really shouldn't do, but they totally can. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, anyhow, the design videos are coming out and will be a lot of fun. With that, with the videos also, since we are doing a lot more design videos, we've done a bunch that are kind of high level, like this is cavities versus infill and those kind of ones, which are also good videos. You should go watch that if you haven't seen it. But the videos, as we do more, it's going to get more and more specific, because those really broad stroke kind of rules are fine as a baseline, but they don't really apply to individual weird applications like, oh, well, what about this? Well, what about this? We want to go after those what about these. Those individual applications, we want to just say like, okay, in this case, this is how you would design it. In this case, this is how you would design it, back and forth, which means that we're going to end up basically designing really specific little products. And again, in that interest of having multiple positives from a single action, we're going to do the design series. So like woodworking tools or living room items and that kind of stuff. We're going to do potentially like week-long runs where we like design a thing every day. And those will be the videos where we design it, print it, and explain why it's made that way. And those videos will be quite a bit of fun because they will be individual applications, but there are going to be actually some pretty good products coming out of it and some pretty good files. A lot of those files we will turn loose for free. Oh, side note on this too. We have promoted the Patreon in the past. We posted on the Patreon the other day that we're not really going to continue supporting the Patreon. The Patreon is kind of a distraction for what we do. Again, as a corporate channel where we got out of business, maintaining the Patreon is like a monetization channel. Just it is not worth our time, and it's not a good experience for the people over there who are patrons. So be forewarned, the Patreon is still up. If you want to support the channel, thank you very much. But the support will only go towards helping to make more videos. There's not going to be necessarily special perks over there or anything else. Anything that is published or posted will be pretty much open to everybody and not really exclusive to patrons, because we haven't figured out a good way to build that in a way to where it's not a distraction and is a good product and experience for the people who are the patrons. So if you want to support us in a charitable kind of way by donating to this for-profit channel, because this is a corporate channel. We appreciate that, and that's great. If you really like the videos, we do appreciate that. But we don't want to be very transparent about the fact that the Patreon is not going to be really an exclusive content kind of an area. It's not going to. We might circle back around on that at some point, but it's just, we want to be super transparent about that. We tried it, and we try lots of stuff, but it's not something that really works for us. So FYI on that. But with the files coming out, the files will probably be posted. We'll probably make them public on like Cults or Minifactory and that kind of thing. But at the same time, some of these files will be really good. And this is a conversation for a different day, but the free files kind of a system has problems with it that we don't necessarily agree with, not just from a corporate standpoint, but just kind of the social community interaction with it. People do not value free stuff for all of the work and effort and experience and practice and time and misery that went into making that free thing. So we don't want to promote that version of reality. And I know this will make a lot of people on the channel, maybe we should talk about this more. Free stuff is great, but open source is not free. Open source has worked in a few very narrow situations. Open source has worked for software, of course, the example being Linux. But Linux has only survived because, number one, Linus Torvalds is a dictatorial son of a gun, which is what you have to be to guide that project and still draw the line. So it wasn't free open source. It was very controlled open source. But then those projects are largely funded by corporate entities building off of that open source and then contributing back to it. And Linus has talked about this before, Linus Torvalds, who had, in the context of open source, he says, I don't really believe in open source. I'm doing an impression of Linus. I don't really believe in open source the way it should. He's going to kill me for that. He doesn't really believe in open source in the context of I give free stuff, you give free stuff, and we all donate time. He believes, much as I do, is that I make it better in a way that works for me and I push it back. And then you make it better in a way that works for you and you push it back. And through this collective self-interest around the central hub of sharing that thing, of we all want something from it, so we all give something to it. That type of open source works, and it works well in software. But it has only worked in software because large companies are able to afford to support it rather than developing it themselves. And so many of these standards got to scale very quickly to where the corporations were forced to use it rather than creating something from scratch. But in the context of hardware and 3D models, that scale does not exist. The rules of open source and the dynamics, the economic, communal dynamics of open source, where I put out a free 3D model, well, nobody is really contributing back and improving that 3D model. With the old 3D printer designs, there was kind of that with the RepRap thing, but that's a different conversation. Anyway, the RepRap thing is a different thing. That's a whole different podcast. And a whole different batch of hot takes that we should not get into right now. But the, oh man, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this. Anyway, bottom line is we're going to make a lot of really good files and do a lot of really good videos from those files. A lot of the files will be made available. Some of them will be available for purchase. Some of them will be available for free based on the value that the file contains. But what we would really like to do is kind of build these series around stuff that you guys want. So we will probably, rather than doing a Patreon where it's kind of a vote polling system, we'll just do a Kickstarter. And we'll say like at the end, anybody who supports the Kickstarter gets access to all the files. Good on ya. And we'll do, household items or woodworking tools or whatever else it was. We'll do a video series showing the design of those tools and items. And then at the end of it all, anybody who backed the Kickstarter gets access to the files. And we're going to make sure that those are really good and interesting files. It looks like the first ones that we will probably do will be woodworking tools because that kind of overlaps with the community here. And they're also a lot of fun. And I really like woodworking tools. And I'm the one who's going to have to design, narrate, and explain all these things. So by golly, here we go. But yeah, there a lot of those kind of design items and that kind of stuff will come through. And we'll announce those, plan those out in advance and let you guys all know about them with podcasts here. So that's something else that's coming down the pipe. And then ultimately, with when those projects and those items are done, even if you're not part of the Kickstarter getting the STLs, you'll be able to access prints of the files through Angled.io, and we may have the files around, but we'll see. Anyhow, that's a whole different set of worms that we have to plan out. And again, like I said, we've been really busy just making sure clients get their parts. Because again, they rely on us. Any product or service that we put out there, we have to make sure that is supported and the clients are happy with us because they're paying us to make a living. We shouldn't be up here trying to be famous on YouTube. So I'm going to call it there for the end of the podcast. Those are the last things on the agenda, and I've already dug myself into too many holes to where I'm going to get in trouble anyway. So there's that. Guys, do let us know about any sort of items that you'd like to see us design. And do let us know about any other products or companies out there who are making really cool 3D printed products, like for real products, not research projects, not Etsy stores, not prototype stuff. It's gotta be a real product, an organization, something somebody has wrapped in a box. We got a number of cool ones right now, but we need a lot more, and there's a lot more guys out there doing it. So we just want to get those covered. But anyhow, thanks again, everybody. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everybody.